B'Shem Hashem Na'aseh v'Natzliach. Today, in Breslov Pirkey Avot, we are going to go through chapter 1, Mishnah 4. And here we go. Yossi ben Yoezel, ish tzerada, veYossi ben Yochanan, ish Yerushalayim, kiblu mihem. Yossi ben Yoezel, ish tzerada omer, yeh beitecha beit va'ad l'chachamim, veheve mitabek ba'afar raglehem, v'shote b'tzama et tivrehem. Yossi ben Yoezer of Tzeredia and Yossi ben Yochanan of Jerusalem received the tradition from them. Yossi ben Yoezer of Tzeredia said, "Let your house be a meeting place for the wise. Sit in the dust at their feet and drink their words thirstily." So let's see what the Breslov insights are on this beautiful Mishnah. A meeting place for the wise. Rav Nassan teaches, the Torah verse that commands us to affix a mezuzah to our doorposts, "You shall inscribe these words on the doorposts of your house," begins in the second person plural, you, but ends in the second person singular, your. The mezuzah, which declares God's oneness, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one," makes each house into a place where diverse viewpoints within the Torah can be brought together in unity and peace. Therefore, the Mishnah states, "Let your house be a meeting place for the wise." This suggests a home in which sages either gather in order to find ways to solve problems of society. Each sage expresses his opinion according to his way of thinking, after which compromises are sought between the opposing views and resolutions are passed. This is the main purpose of a house being called a meeting place. That's something that I really, really, really love. We, especially now, all have our opinions. We all have our knowledge. We all have access to just insurmountable amounts of information through which we can process and gain our knowledge. But the only way to really make that knowledge full and complete is when you share it with other people and open up your knowledge to them while being open to their knowledge as well, and then formulating, as here it says, compromises, but basically creating a really, really well-bound place. And having your home be a place like that, well, it brings that energy and that ability to do so. Continuing, every Jewish home must serve as a meeting place for the wise as well. That is, every Jewish home must be imbued with the same spirit of peace and harmony which emerges from the debate of true sages who seek to benefit the world. For true sages know and believe, even when expressing their differences, that, in fact, everything is one, as the mezuzah attests. So it's really easy to share your opinion, and sometimes it's really intimidating to hear other opinions because they may or may not challenge your opinion. But when you understand the concept that this truth and this truth can both be true, the world is big enough to hold more than one truth, then when you're listening to somebody whose truth isn't aligned with yours, well, you don't need to be intimidated that it's going to challenge or take away from your truth. On the contrary, the more your truth is challenged or awoken, then the deeper and the truer that truth is going to be. But when all you're doing is trying to defend your truth, then you're missing out on opportunities, A, to learn somebody else's truth and therefore get to know them and their way of thinking, but also to strengthen your own truth, because only when you deepen your understanding can you deepen the truth that you have or that you get or that you want. Continuing, in the digest of commentaries, it says, following Antigonus of Soko, the era of Zugot, pairs, began. From that time on, for almost 300 years, there were always two sages at the helm of the Jewish tradition. The leader of the Sanhedrin was called the Nasi, which is the prince or president. Second to him was the Av Beit Din, the chief of justice. Yossi ben Yoezer was the Nasi, and Yossi ben Yochanan was the Av Beit Din. Both were disciples of Antigonus of Soko. Accordingly, a variant text states that they received the tradition from him, but others maintain they received the tradition from them, that is, from Shimon tzadik and subsequently from Antigonus. So here I want to talk about something where it says the era of Zugot, the era of pairs. There's a saying in the Gemara that says, "O chavruta, o mituta." Either give me a chavruta, a learning partner, a friend, someone I can bounce my ideas upon or off of, or kill me. In life, we're not supposed to be alone, right? We know this because it's not good for a man to be alone, and that's our commandment or our understanding that we need to get married. But it's also, listen, don't think that all of your loneliness is going to be fulfilled or taken or filled up or just solved by your wife. Because then, what's this o chavruta o mituta, right? So you have the filling of that completion as a man, but then as a wise man, as a Torah scholar, well, you need somebody that you can bounce your ideas upon or off of and reflect upon, so that then you can truly become a deep Torah scholar. So have a friend. Don't try to put all your eggs in one basket of your partner, but rather you also need somebody that's going to challenge you in other places, which is really important. Meeting the wise. Let's see what that. Rabbi Nachman once remarked, "What most inspired me to devote myself to serving God in truth was hearing stories about tzaddikim." He explained that many great tzaddikim used to visit his parents' house, which had once been the home of the Baal Shem Tov, Rabbi Nachman's maternal great-grandfather. These illustrious Hasidim would come frequently to Medzeboz to pray at the Baal Shem Tov's grave, and on their way, most of them would visit Rabbi Nachman's parents. During his youth, the Rebbe came to hear their stories, which awakened in his soul the burning desire to serve God and to strive for the highest spiritual levels. I'd like to touch on, again, the definition of a tzaddik. A tzaddik is somebody that just their life, the way they live their lives, is going to motivate you and ignite you to live your life to its fullest. You don't want to live your life like the tzaddik. Maybe there is, certain tzaddikim that you do want to live your life like them. But for the most part, it's watching them live their lives in their aligned and present way that burns inside of you. It wakes something up of like, oh my God, I want that. And so when you hear these stories, unlike reading a book about like what the knowledge is, you relate to the fact that real people can do this. And look. And I think that that's awesome, personally. It says, sit in the dust at their feet. Rav Nassan says, the truth is extremely difficult to clarify. It requires a lifetime of diligent effort to distill even a small part of the truth. For the essence of truth in its fullness cannot be revealed until the end of days. At present, we can glean only a certain aspect of the truth, in accordance with our abilities and efforts. For example, in the study of Torah, one person may merit to clarify certain laws, while another may clarify other laws. But even this cannot be to the fullest extent, for there is no law or teaching that is perfectly clear in any one place, as our sages state. Nevertheless, we must engage in work of birur, clarification, and exert ourselves to study the Torah so that we can accomplish our share in this great task, be it large or small. This applies to every aspect of Torah study, from the sublime to the mundane, from the Torah's esoteric teachings to its legal pronouncements, and even more so to the fulfillment of Torah in action, which is the main objective. This also applies to the study of classical ethical texts, which contain important advice and practical strategies to help us fulfill the Torah and remain faithful to the point of truth within ourselves. Such study is extremely deep and cannot be grasped except through strenuous effort and by sitting in the dust at the feet of the true sages. If we do so, we will surely succeed in fulfilling our share of the truth according to our abilities. This is an amazing concept, and I've kind of related to it like saying, I'm not a cardiac surgeon. I don't know how to operate on anything. I'm okay with that, because I know that somewhere, someone, and not just too far, like someone, is a cardiac surgeon, and if God forbid anyone I know or myself will ever need one, well, I'll have I'll have who to count on. I'm not a mechanic, but I drive a car. There's a lot of things that I don't know, but because I know somebody else knows them, then I can live my life comfortably because I know that when I need them, they'll be there. That's the idea of community. You see, when you have a community, you don't have a ton of similar people. You might have people with similar goals, but within that community, you have a plethora of different people that together they combine to be one. Like a tree. A tree is made up of so many parts, right? One leaf isn't important to another, more important than another one. But together they can feed themselves and each other, right? So what it's saying is when you sit at the dust of the feet, it's sometimes you need to be humble and know that you don't know. And also trust others and trust that they do know some of the things that you don't know. Kind of a cool way to live, right? Rav Nassan continues. It is essential to sit in the dust at the feet of those who have attained true simplicity and purity of heart. Therefore, we must endeavor to be accepted into a yeshiva, literally a Torah academy, but in this context, the spiritual fraternity of disciples, of a true tzadik who can give us the instruction we need to fulfill the Torah. You know, sometimes you sit around with friends and you're hanging out, and one of your friends that night is inspired, and he kind of leads the vibe, and everybody goes in. It's a wonderful night. Other nights, you're that guy. Other nights, everybody's that guy. When you're sitting in this area of spiritual freedom, then you also have this chance to be that light so that you can give other people your light. Because listen, no one else, literally nobody else, just like they don't have the same fingerprint, they don't have the same mind, experiences, way of looking at things. So everything we have to add, when we do it from a place of not competition, but rather sharing, then I think we're all putting ourselves in an environment of this yeshiva. Such a place of study will restore in us true faith in God and extricate us from the depths into which we may have fallen. Therefore, if we truly care about our lives, we must set out in search of a yeshiva, of a true tzaddik, in order to attain perfect faith, fulfill the Torah, and save ourselves from drowning in the depths. Such yeshivot have always existed since the days of our forefathers. Jacob was called a simple man dwelling in tents. These tents were the holy yeshivot of Shem and Eber, where Jacob learned the ways of simplicity and truth, thus becoming a simple man. Again, today, access to information is wide, but finding a place where you feel comfortable to share it is more difficult. A tzaddik can be comprised of many, and is comprised of many, especially in our days. And if we change or evolve that understanding of tzaddik to understand that within me there's also a tzaddik, and within you there's also a tzaddik, and at times it's my turn, other times it's your turn, and when we give each other that space, when we hold space for each other, and we do that because we're sitting at the dust of the feet, meaning your opinion to you is just as important as my opinion is to me. So if I want you to hold space for my opinion, let me hold space for yours, and maybe we might actually both evolve in our opinions. But if I'm waiting in line to say what I want to say, if I'm just waiting to tell you my truth because it's more true to me than yours, then we miss out on being in this yeshiva of combined group communal growth. Hey, growth through struggle. Rav Nassan says, one must sit in the dust at the feet of the tzaddikim, for it is impossible to enter the realm of holiness except through suffering and struggle. These difficulties humble us, like the lowly dust, while at the same time strengthening our resolve. Thus, we may become fit vessels to receive the wisdom that the tzaddikim wish to impart. I'm going to close, because it's the end of the lesson, with something about this last thing about struggle and tzaddikim. The struggles that we live in life are tailor-made for us. And when we look back at them, we learn lessons that are the most valuable treasures that we have. Some of us have had a lot more struggles than others. Some of us can actually live other people's struggles as if they were their own, and therefore be able to be empathetic. The people that have been able to overcome struggles, trials, and tribulations, and are still full of light, that's a tzaddik. That's someone that when you go up to them and you ask them or you listen to them, their story will allow you to get the same strength that they got. And at certain times, your story will give people the strength that they need. Don't be embarrassed of your trials and tribulations. Don't be ashamed. Know that they were Hashem showing you how strong you were. And if you were to go to a gym to get bigger, and the trainer would give you just every day 2 kilogram or 2 pound weights, you'd go to another trainer and be like, no, I need you to give me weights that are going to make my muscles hurt, because that's the only way I'm going to get bigger. If you're being sent heavy muscles, it's because someone thinks that you can carry them. And when you do, share. Help other people not have to carry the load in the way or in the difficulty that you did. You cannot bear someone else's load. You cannot. But you can share with them how you were able to bear your load from a place of humility, from a place of understanding and sharing. When we do that, when we share with each other, when we take our wisdom that was tailor-made for us, so therefore nobody else can receive it, and we share it, then we exponentially increase the healing, the community, and the oneness in the world. So may Hashem bless us to sit at the dust of the feet of tzaddikim, of friends, and sometimes of our own memories. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.